Or carrot, but I love carrots. It's delicious. Good.
I had gone to see the GP to get some drugs for some asthma drugs for my children. And when I was there, she asked me how I was, and I said, well, I've had another chest infection. I'm okay, I feel a bit nauseous. And she made me lie down and had a feel of my chest and stomach and said she wanted me to go and have an ultrasound. I went to the hospital on my own and I was feeling very happy, and it was a sunny day. There was just a man, a radiologist, doing the scan. Anyway, so I sat up and he said, this is the hardest part of our job, and I'm very sorry to inform you, with not really much more preamble than that you've got 5 major tumours in your liver. I phoned my husband immediately, but I was left in that sort of 20 minutes completely on my own, being rushed into CT. I was shaking so much they couldn't get the needle into my arm. And I remember lying on the bed, going in and out of the CT machine, and I was just picturing my funeral.
3 months prior to diagnosis, I mean, life was perfect. Joshua was about 15, 16 months old. So we, very happy as a family. Nikki was busy as a teacher, I was busy working, but we were raising our son. So, it was the perfect life. We were just planning then our next holiday, which was going to be in Israel in that February, and that was at the point where Nikki started to get ill. For the first few months, and actually the vast majority of her treatment, it was chemotherapy, and it was a very brutal regime. It was a full day, like 8 hours of these various cocktails of drugs that, really did leave her feeling very, very weak, very tired at the end of it, and it took a good few days to recover.
We started to chat, and she was in a room, and she was going to be having the nuclear medicine as well. And we got on well, and I explained that I'd had it before, and she was a bit nervous, and we were talking about it. And she mentioned at that time, I think, we ascertained that we were both Jewish, that she went to a place called High. There was a corridor, and our husbands sort of stayed there, and they were allowed to be there, and we had a kind of strange four-way conversation during our treatments. And then she was going to have another treatment 6 weeks later, and we kept in contact on the phone.
You just wouldn't have known that what she was going through, because she just makes such an incredible recovery. I won't forget her Facebook message that said, going to my second home, the Royal Free, be out in a couple of days.
And she died. She died before the second treatment. What minute?
It did come as a complete shock to me, because we always had it in our minds that she was going to go through this radio-targeted treatment. That was again going to run in November the next year. We had other things, but clearly it was so aggressive that it wasn't giving, the treatment wasn't working fast enough, and she so rapidly deteriorated. So when she was admitted for that final time, as I say, thinking she'd be home in 2 days, and she passed away 2 and a bit weeks later.
She had a very small child, and it just made me feel I wanted to go. I can't exactly tell you what the trigger was about that or from that, but it just made me make that phone call. And it was from me. I mean, it was sort of knowing about it, and no one had said go. And so I phoned up.
I came on a number of occasions to the hospital, particularly in the last few difficult weeks, and I was able to take that time out from the room and be able to go and have that conversation and to talk about things. It was incredibly beneficial. The first time I sat down with him and said, that Mummy was really ill, Mummy's no longer with us now, to that sort of effect, and he would listen, and I think that he picked up on that, and then naturally 10 minutes later he'd say, "When's Mummy coming home?" And that's, you have to understand, a child that's only just over 3 can't possibly comprehend something of this magnitude. But in time, and Joshua and Chai, I mean, the benefit for him has just been truly phenomenal. I mean, he has his own, child therapist, and every week, effectively, he's been going.
Who's this?
Mummy, have to tell that he needs to bring more in.
Because we like to have lots of things of Mummy in that box, isn't it?
She is just over the moon with how he has progressed the last few years. He's in a much better place than he was a year ago now. And the things that he will discuss and do with her that he wouldn't necessarily do in the home environment. He's grasping like the concept of death and what's happened.
I felt that it would be very useful for my children to have a place or somebody they could go to at any time. Just to have a person that, if they wanted to, they could go and talk to outside of the family.
I tried to push it aside, really. I was kind of in denial. I thought I didn't want to go to this charity and talk to someone. But being 15, that's what you think. And the minute I walked in, I realised that I was completely wrong and that it was a really good idea. I walked in there and their arms were open. I had therapy, whenever I needed it. If I called up the night before, I could have therapy the next day. I go with my mum and grandma to the art classes, and I've met some really nice people there who are in the same situation as me, especially the younger ones, and we have stuff to talk about that we have in common with parents having cancer.
There's something about being with the art group. We've got a real shared sort of sense of identity, and it's sort of a feeling of support, but without it being heavy in any way.
I have had some treatments. I've tried reflexology. That's really fantastic help. If you're to have a counselling session, and if you let quite a lot out in that, and you discuss a number of things that are difficult, then it's particularly beneficial.
I see an individual fitness trainer in the gym because I have limitations and would feel that I couldn't keep up or do certain things in a group. So it's been absolutely fantastic that I can see somebody individually in the gym, understanding my situation and then tailoring what I can do to my needs. I have used the palliative care service, and I went in primarily to discuss how to come off morphine, which I was addicted to, having taken for many months. And that was a great help, and now I am actually off the morphine, which was difficult, but it certainly helped me to withdraw slowly so that the side effects were lessened. But also, it enabled me to talk about many other issues of palliative care, which I hadn't been able to talk about previously.
I think, being realistic, obviously the end result, as it were, Nikki obviously wouldn't have changed her passing away. But I honestly believe, from what I've heard, from what I've seen, and also even speaking to Nikki's consultant, who's seen the facilities here and really spoken so positively about them, I think it would have been, of huge help.
I'm really excited about the new building. I think the range of expertise that's going to be offered is going to be even wider.
Spacious, light.
I really see that Chai can become more part of my
It
life.
feels so personal. That's what's so lovely about Chai. I do not feel like I'm going into an institute or somewhere. It's the sort of place you would have at home if you could have a room like this.
I had a serious career before I got cancer, which I loved. And I really had a shape to my life and a good quality, although I probably worked too hard. And I think now what I'm feeling that Chai offers is a part of the quality of my life, of going out of the house and having something to do and somewhere to go that is meaningful to me. I think that has really helped me to live a better life, and a new life, not the same as before, but one that gives me the same kind of equality.
I've been through a nightmare scenario and that continues, but there's no question that if I never made that call to High, if I never used the services of High, things would be a lot different now. Things would be harder for me now. You have the most incredible support network here, to offer, the Jewish community the support when we most need it. These are people who understand, cancer. I mean, there's the phrase that they say, cancer doesn't care, but certainly High does.